Good morning. Seja bem-vindo. Welcome to this session. If there's one thing on which the internet depends, if there's one thing on which the whole future and stability of the internet depends, apart from buying cheap plastic stuff from Temu, then it's identity. Proving who we are, and for system operators, corporations, being able to believe who we say we are. And that's always been difficult. There again, back in the days, back in the 1980s when I was doing stuff electronically, as it were, we had credit cards, we walked into a shop, we said to the guy behind the counter or the girl behind the counter, here's my credit card, here's who I say I am. Somebody can look at the card, check the signature, check it's me, and say thank you very much, yes, we can do this transaction. As soon as everything started moving online, which it did rapidly, it became a lot harder to prove who we are. Once we started doing card holder not present, it was very difficult to prove identity. One thing we did is we then started saying, okay, let's go by the expiry date on the card. And of course, typically cards last for 3 years, so that gives you a choice of 30 dates. It's not exactly an infinite number of possibilities. So if you want to prove who you are online, you can do one of two things. You can, well, generally what we have to do is you either have to believe people or you have to build your own infrastructure that says, you know, who are you? We can, once you start filling in the application form for your loan, for your passport, for your health records, how are we going to prove who you are? Can I not just farm you off to some other company and some other system that will do all that for me, or do I have to build it? And building it is very difficult, especially if we want to trade internationally, because we might well be able to build a website that can accept UK passports or Portuguese ID cards. But what if you want to build, what if you want to trade with all 200 odd companies, 250 odd companies that are members of the UN? So can we build it, or can we outsource the building of all this infrastructure onto another company? And I was sat thinking the other day, wouldn't it be good if we could do that? Well, hold my cerveja, which is beer. Let me introduce Kaarel Kotkas. Tell me what you do and tell me what Veriff stands for.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. So essentially, Veriff is building the trust infrastructure. And in order to trust, you have to verify. So that's the reason why we enable every website and mobile application to match the person with a real government-issued identity. And we do it globally to enable people equal access to services, no matter they're coming from, and enable businesses to build and grow with honest people on board.
So if I'm trying to prove that somebody is who they say they are, when they're filling in the application form for a loan or something, I can just outsource that to you?
Yes. So if you're opening up a bank account at Monzo, if you'd like to do advice, like the money transfer advice, or you'd like to rent a car using Bolt, this is all some examples where Veriff is making sure that the people are who they claim to be, and this is what enables them to have those services.
And what does Veriff stand for? Why the name Veriff?
Veriff, actually came from the fact that in order to trust, you have to verify. And the first entity as an organization that ensured that people are acting according to the law and communities are kept safe is a sheriff organization. So verification sheriff. Veriff was meant to be this kind of a organization online that facilitates trust between businesses. And now it's been 8.5 years. And we are supporting multiple big companies to do it. But of course, it's an exciting, as it's a never-ending cat and mouse game. And all the developments that come towards the technology and enable us to do more things are also accessible for a very well-funded fraudsters who'd like to also take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. So that's the part as an organization and the infrastructure company. You always have to be thinking steps ahead, and you also have to work as team, as a network, as community to secure the identities and companies across our network.
And you're a big player now. How many people are you now?
We are over 400 people. We are started in Estonia. Estonia is also known as most advanced digital society. We've had an option to vote online over 20 years by now, and the digital identity has been the infrastructure for it. And I think back in 2015 as well, when we thought about the Estonian digital identity, then it was built upon ID card with a chip on it, and you also have a mobile ID with PIN codes. But if you would be building a global solution from scratch again, it wouldn't be based on an ID card or mobile phone that is so much easier to take away with PIN codes than someone's head, for example. So the reason in terms of biometrics is definitely the stronger source.
Right.
But on another side, you can never be single-threaded in your identity verification. And you have to leverage multiple aspects to make the cost of doing fraud unreasonably high.
Because security always is about something, or proving your identity is always about something you are, something you have, something you know. And ideally a mixture of all those three. If it's just something you know, like a password, it can be very easy to fake or steal. And if it's something you are, which is the biometric side, again, that's not easy to fake. We've all done the iris ID things and the fingerprints and whatever. Back in the day, I used to visit InfoSec, which was a big security conference in London, a good few times. And I was doing a panel session on social engineering. And we were talking about how easy it is to get into companies and whatever. And because I was going to be on a panel alongside this guest who was a very well-known social engineer, I thought I have to do something impressive. So normally to get into InfoSec, you have to go through security, you have to show your badge, you have to do all your various checks and whatever. I ordered a high-vis jacket from eBay that said security on the front. And it was cost about £8, about €10. And I bought a baseball cap that said security on the front, and that was about another £5 or £6. And I had my bag with me. I just walked straight through the staff entrance, bypassing all the security checks. They saw I had security written on me, and they let me straight through. And I could go into any areas I wanted. Physical security is such a big problem, but at least you've got those people there. You've got that person in front of you. You can talk to them, you can see them, you can ask who they are. Once it all moves online, it's so much harder to prove who we are. I applied recently for a new British passport. That was mostly done online. I applied to the UK health authorities for a copy of my health records, because I needed that in Portugal, where I now live. And again, they want, that was mostly done online. And to be able to prove your identity in such important circumstances for the companies on the other end, either for compliance reasons or legal reasons or both, is so important. And it's nice and easy just to be able to outsource that and say, let's make that somebody else's responsibility. We don't want to have to hold all that data. We don't want to have our reputation on the line if we get it wrong. Let's outsource that to somebody else. How does it work billing-wise? How do I pay you?
Veriff is transactional per verification.
Per verification.
And I think, it's the example that you also gave in terms of a social engineering. Then, of course, there are options what we can do to cure the symptoms, but then you're already in their office building and all the challenges that come from the symptoms. But it's very important to get to the core. And already in the physical example, it starts from a proven identity. And this is what enables you the real access management. When we're thinking about the company's internal access management, then we've leveraged a lot device verification without knowing who is behind this device. And sometimes we've gotten the false comfort with our current tools at hand by not putting enough thinking behind it, what happens when the device is compromised. And then bad things start to happen.
So are you doing this all via magic or AI or a bit of each?
Sorry?
Are you doing this all via magic or AI or some of each?
So from our side, in terms of the decision-making process, it relies on the video and the frame-by-frame analysis. It relies on a device network and registry accesses. Essentially, what it enables us to do per verification attempt to have over 1,000 data points, and the more data you have, the more you're able to automate it. And the more you can automate, the more objective decisions you can give out at scale. The challenge with us as humans, especially in the social engineering example as well, we are subjective by nature. And that's the problem, where identity verification by definition needs to be objective. And it takes a very specialized approach to do it at scale, at high accuracy, and that's exactly what we've been doing.
So do you think we'll finally see the end of the password?
I think to an extent we still are going to have a password or something that we know as a key or something that it can be called as password, security, some kind of a code, but I don't see it going away with all the passkeys and other things as well. We just need to have multi-factor when we are making our login and sign-up decisions.
How many people here mostly use two-factor authentication for things? More than half? That's good. It's always the compromise between, can I be bothered to turn it on? Can I be bothered to make sure I've got my phone with me when I'm using it? Versus the security you get. And how many people here who are using two-factor authentication turned it on as the result of a breach or a scare? And most people have used it proactively because they know it's the right thing to do?
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's good. You're in the right place. Excellent. So where are we going future-wise with your technology and Veriff and the future of proving who we are and being able to trust people who we are?
Yeah. I think today we are working on using government-issued IDs, as it's the best source for verifying people compliantly today. But government-issued ID also has a bit of a challenge at hand that the best global standard is passport, but we know that some countries or passports are more equal than the others, and there's limitations to it. Then also it gets back to the fact that our identity is so much more complex than passport saying that you are son of your parents born in this country for the first 18 years, or depending on the citizenship and how it's been built along the way. And the plan around Veriff is that we are building this kind of a global trust score, that we are able to see that you, Robert, have been a good actor at the bank, at service marketplaces. And there's a very good this kind of feedbacking system that enables us to create the reusability for an identity by making it good for the good actors, but also very, very challenging for the bad actors within this system. So that's this kind of a step that we're working on in a short to mid-term, how we are able to enable the digital identity vault, that once you've gone through the full verification once, then next time you just need to show your face, and once we have the information about you, then you're already able, with a very convenient step, to get access to the services. And in the future, together with additional information at hand, I believe we see the future where there will be passports issued by Veriff, not only by the governments. That really enables this kind of a complexity of an identity taken into account for a global scale.
So you will be a trusted partner among various people who need to get people's ID?
Yes.
So are we at the point now where once I've proved my ID to hire a car with you, I can then sail through getting my health records, getting my passport, getting a bank account, because I've proved my ID once and I can then don't have to prove it again? Or am I going to keep having to hold up my passport by my face and read out some numbers for every different company I deal with?
Today, a lot also driven by the compliance requirements and regulatory requirements, we are still living in a world that you need to have this process done like at once every single time. But that's this kind of a plan and the disruption we'd like to bring to the market within our network that enables you to just show your face once we know you, and also ensure that this data about you is securely stored in the digital identity vault, and only information about you that you'd like to share will be shared with a company. And that's very important, because when you have online marketplaces or shops and they'd like to verify the age of yourself, yes, you have to show your government-issued ID, but essentially they should be only storing your age, not the copy of your ID.
Yes, I understand you have a service for age verification rather than simple ID verification. Not simple, but ID verification. You're now getting into age verification for areas where you have to show that you're over 18 or over a certain age. Is that a big growth for you?
Definitely. There's a couple of layers. You can start from having age estimation that enables you to say, based on just a selfie,
so just from facial biometrics?
Exactly. Just from a selfie, do we believe that you are over 18 years old? And to do it that scale. If it becomes more strict in terms of alcohol delivery, prescription drugs, then you're required to have also solid government-issued ID verification added on top of this flow. But that's essentially this kind of a layering. As much as we have companies out there, as much we have also different risk appetite and onboarding flows, that we are able to provide the right fitting solution together with a friction that is fit for the specific use case. Because it's all about the customer experience. Identity verification can't be something like police is stopping your car asking for a driver's license. It needs to be a smooth, warm hand taking you from the beginning to the end of the funnel.
And scalable.
Exactly. And that's what we drive at Veriff. Yeah.
Because on the age verification side, you as a company, or anybody who runs a company who doesn't want to have the responsibility and isn't allowed to legally to hold data about under 18s, the last thing they want is to find out that they've been holding data about children when they shouldn't have been doing so. And we've heard cases of people hacking into toys and getting into all sorts of information that they shouldn't have done, and companies dealing with children and being fined quite heavily for targeting under 18s, for holding information about under 18s, in some cases under 13s, when they've been targeting advertising and targeting products at children. So if Veriff can help companies avoid that, then so much the better.
Yes, I think it's a topic on its own, children trust and safety.
Yes.
And
trust and safety is the holy grail of the internet, really. That's what we all spend our time wishing we could have, and the closer we can get there, the better it will be.
Exactly, and I think the market starts to recognize, if I'd like to rent a car, I don't go to Facebook Marketplace that has a scale. I like to go to Bolt and all the other companies that are focused on it. They've built and focused on the trust and safety and trust towards the platform.
Yeah.
If you'd like to have a shorter rental, you don't do it from Craigslist. You are going to Airbnb that focuses on the trust and safety on this platform.
Absolutely.
And all those examples are the ones that the future growth of an identity, of the future growth of a technology and the new use cases we can bring on board rely so much more on trust than the scale.
That is what it's all about. It's about being able to trust who you're dealing with at the other end, whether you're the client or the provider. Our time is up. Kaarel, thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you.